Well, hello everyone. This is Dr. Stan Gross. I'm the president and co-founder of Sano Global Nutrition. And this is another teaching session on one of our products. We're going to talk about enzymes. What are enzymes? What do they do? What's their function? And what makes our complete enzyme complex so special? And why do we need supplements in our diet like enzymes? I mean, why do we need to put enzymes there? Well, in truth, we really don't. If we have all the right food, eat the right balance of things from the correct sources. But that happens to be none of you. Sorry. So if we're looking at enzymes like protease, that's good for proteins, right? You take a good guess there. Lipase, which is good for fats. Amylase, which is good for carbohydrates. And then you have these other enzymes that are good for digestion in a more general sense and helping to break down a combination of fats and proteins or proteins and carbohydrates. And what are our good sources? Well, if you live in the tropical regions, you're getting a lot of really rich enzyme foods, avocados, papayas, pineapples, coconut. Oh my goodness, that sounds like the Philippines. In fact, they do have a very enzyme-rich diet. The problem, of course, is that the other aspects of the diet may be lacking or lack balance. So we need to make sure that everyone globally has a good enzyme balance. So what do enzymes do? Well, here's some basic biochemistry. Enzymes are based upon substrates. You can have a dual substrate or a triple substrate, however it's set up, and it comes down to a substance, binds to it, and breaks it up into smaller pieces. Essentially, it's what it amounts to, just breaking larger molecules into smaller pieces. And the puzzle piece has to fit, you see. So an enzyme that's good with fats won't necessarily work on sugars. And the ones for sugars won't work on proteins. So if we have an enzyme that works on carbohydrates, sugars, and these are the most common, galactose, glucose, fructose, well, you have things like amylase that break the large sugar molecules into the smaller units called saccharides. Saccharides can pass through the whole. Think of it this way. The food that you take in, these are macronutrients. These are fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. But those molecules are far too big to cross the barrier to get into the bloodstream to become fuel to the body, to become food. So we need enzymes to break carbohydrates into the smaller components called saccharides, which are able to cross and get into the bloodstream. Same is true here for fat. Fat, they're globular, they're large, very large molecules. And they can't cross, but if they're broken down into what? Into lipids. That's the word lipase, right? So it comes from the pancreas, it also comes from the gallbladder, it also comes from foods that we eat that offer different types of lipase, and they're different forms, different molecular forms. And these are then broken down into glycerides, and then triglycerides are set up and bound to be broken down into fuel. If your triglycerides can't be broken down and you have too many triglycerides, that leads to what? Arterial disease. So we need enzymes also to make sure that the triglycerides can be broken down and used as fuel when needed. So it's necessary to get fats down to lipids and into the system. But enzymes are also important for making sure that triglycerides, tri meaning 3, glycerides meaning lipid compounds, to be able to be broken up and used as fuel on demand. Interesting, huh? What about protein? Well, protein is a huge molecule as well. Comes from multiple sources: meat, fish, legumes or beans, grains, nuts. Then we have an essential use, a conditionally non-essential list, and then we have the non-essential. Non-essential just means we can combine specific what? Amino acids. That's what these are. So proteins are broken down, protease, into amino acids, and we need the essentials means that the body is not capable of manufacturing them. We have to have them in our diet, and so we have to have foods that are rich in these. And the conditionally non-essential means we can try to get it in our diet, but sometimes these are lacking, like arginine, asparagine, glutamine. All of these conditionally non-essentials are sometimes lacking in our diet. Why? Because our diets are lacking in a variety of proteins. You've heard me speak on this before. The wider the variety, the greater the chances are you will have a whole diet. So, Captain Enzyme, superhero defender of health. Well, catalysts, what are catalysts? Well, they speed up reactions. So if your body is looking to burn fat as fuel, and if it's doing so through normal metabolic channels, that is to say the muscles kick in, right? The muscles are the engine that drive metabolism. In order for that to take place at a normal reaction, it would be too slow. So the enzymes are in there in order to speed up that reaction so we get the fuel when we need it, like when we exercise. Enzymes are essential for the immune system as well. Different things such as severe infections or cancer, for instance, we have something that is triggered in our system, different groups of proteins to become tumor necrotic factor. Tumor necrotic factor actually makes sure that tumors die off. And that is done through an enzyme response within our systems, and it happens all the time. And you're going to see a lot in the research, and we're going to be addressing this later on the CGAMP. AMP production in the body is also metabolism, but not just metabolism of fuel substances, but reactions. And as we have those reactions, we are able to repair tissues much more quickly. We're able to regenerate new tissues. We're able to increase our capability of fighting diseases much more efficiently. And that is all done through what? Through enzyme activity. Detoxification pathways, if you're looking at all the different vitamins and all the different nutrients, one of the things that drives those nutrients into action to carry unwanted debris and waste out of the system is done through enzymes. So if you don't have the appropriate number of enzymes circulating, this will never happen, and so we become toxic, particularly the liver. So it's more than just breaking food down. It's also increasing the efficiency of the body to eliminate toxic waste. Enzymes promote antioxidation. If you're looking at the cells, and if you're looking at how they're protected, there's a phospholipid layer surrounding the mitochondria. There's also a double phospholipid layer surrounding the nucleus of the cell itself. If there's oxidative stress, and I mentioned this as being thousands upon thousands of oxygen free radical molecules slamming into these structures, changing the characteristics of DNA and RNA, changing the characteristics of the cell, in that now it starts having aberrant signals. It starts producing the wrong type of protein or the wrong type of tissue. Free radical oxygen or oxidative stress is very harmful to the body, and we do it to ourselves for the most part. It's a self-inflicted wound. So enzymes are powerful antioxidant catalysts that help arrest the reaction, along with other type of antioxidants such as vitamin C, vitamin E, beta-carotene, as you see on this illustration. We're also looking at regenerative qualities of enzymes. If you're looking at how cells reproduce and the signal that places the demand for that regeneration, we're talking about a catalytic response. Now, I'm not going to get into the biochemistry of it, but if your cells don't regenerate or if they don't repair themselves quickly enough, then the function of that cell is harmed. So if that cell is there to have you exchange oxygen in your lungs for carbon dioxide, you're not doing it as efficiently. If that cell is to exchange iron and produce hemoglobin to enrich the blood, that's not going to happen. You can become anemic. So enzymes are vitally important in these types of reactions. Why is our complete enzyme complex so special? Well, this is why. Many of the enzyme products that are out there only address 3 or 4 enzymes. You know, they're good for breaking down protein, but that's it. Or they're good for breaking down fats, and that's it. And they lay all kinds of health claims in response to their formula. But the problem with that is we don't just eat carbohydrates, or we don't just eat proteins or fats. We tend to eat them together. And we need to be able to break these things down at the same time. Furthermore, there are enzymes that are so powerful for preventing toxic responses from things we put into our bodies. And you know what I'm talking about here. They're all part of our sad American diet, or just the standard food that we put in ourselves every day. I'm surprised we're alive, aren't you? So ours has 18, assuring the maximum enzymatic responses. So who needs our enzyme complex? Well, if you're putting preservatives like BHT and BHA into your system, what you're going to find is this is acting as a neurotoxin in your system. What does that mean? Well, and where can we find it? Well, actually, most of the study was done in veterinary sciences, and they found that the inflammation associated with BHA and BHT in horses, for instance, was easily marked and found. And when it was removed from horses, that inflammatory cycle went away, and a lot of the neurological signs also disappeared. So we don't have to worry about that, do we? We don't eat horse food. Well, kind of. I mean, if you look over to the next column, we see Lucky Charms and Cheerios and other types of cereal products, even packaged oatmeals. So packaged food, for the most part, that has to sit on the shelf, use what? They use preservatives. If you're eating any of these foods, even in limited quantities, and I don't care how healthy they claim to be, read the labels. Read the labels. This is what you'll find. You'll find preservatives, BHA, BHT. What are phthalates? Well, phthalates are plastics, and we've fallen in love with our plastics. We drink out of them. Most of the water that's sold is sold in toxic bottles. We preserve our food and put them in plastic containers and put them in our fridge or freezer. women use cosmetics that are full of phthalates or plasticines. What do they offer? Premature birth, birth defects of the male sex organs, reduced fertility, prostate and testicular cancer, learning disabilities, behavioral problems, asthma and allergies, early puberty in girls. Well, it's estrogenic. It actually produces a synthetic estrogen in the body. Breast growth in boys, gynecomastia. So if you increase estrogen in young men, they're going to grow breast. Furthermore, they're going to run the risk of certain cancers, not just testicular. And obesity and diabetes, because increased estradiol levels, converted synthetic estrogens, shut down the metabolism. Guess what? Enzymes reverse that process. Any of us have any junk food? Oh, come on, be honest. It's okay, we all do it. Sometimes it's a matter of convenience. We're out and about, we get hungry, and we pull through and order it. Oh, maybe we'll be good and order it without fries. Doesn't matter. Junk food is junk food. And what does it do? It not only doesn't offer appropriate nutrients, but it depletes the nutrients that are already in your system. So vitamin uptake, mineral circulation, what do enzymes do? Enzymes reverse or block that process so you get the maximum benefit from the nutrients you have in your system, even the nutrients you take in junk food. I'm not advocating taking enzymes so you can eat junk food. Don't get me wrong. Packaged food. Anything that's packaged or processed. That's why you'll always hear me say, if you're going to go grocery shopping, stay in the outer aisle. Go through produce, go down where the fresh meats are, maybe some cheese if you're into that. Get some toiletries, and then you're out the door. You don't need anything in the central aisles. The central aisles are processed foods. You might go down the frozen area, but make sure that the frozen food does not have preservatives. Prescription drugs. Many prescription drugs. Now, don't get me wrong. If you need a prescription drug to help save your life, for heaven's sake, take it. But understand that if you're taking certain types of medications, that you may be depleting your enzyme quantity in your body. So you need to supplement or put enzymes back into the system. And guess what? It helps your medication become more efficient. This is particularly true for chemotherapy patients. Chemotherapy is, by its definition, for the most part, highly toxic and highly oxidative. It's supposed to be. It's there to kill off cells. So you don't want to take your enzymes the same time you're getting your chemo. They kind of cancel one another out. Take them at least an hour apart. What about stress? Stress kills, especially enzymes. When you're wired to explode, no matter what's causing your stress, whether it's physical stress, sleeplessness, bad job, bad relationship, money, fear, whatever it is, doesn't matter. You're actually burning off enzymes and you're not doing your body any good. So supplement with enzymes and then fix out the problem that is causing you stress. Get it turned around, okay? So who needs to supplement a healthy diet with our complete enzyme complex? I'm guessing it's you. So if you have any questions, I'm sure you do, please, at the end of this video, at the bottom, you'll see there's space for you to comment, ask questions, and I will get to it just as quickly as I can. Thanks for watching. We're going to be doing this a lot, and I'm going to go over many of these presentations again for those of you who are having problems catching on to why these products are so important. And in some cases, I'll be spending some one-on-one with you. I appreciate your time. I'll talk with you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.